What if your most powerful transformation this month isn't something loud, flashy, or even visible, but something quiet happening deep inside you, something others can feel without you saying a word? What if the reason people are suddenly drawn to you, especially women, has nothing to do with what you're doing and everything to do with who you've finally become? Chosen one. Something sacred and unshakable is unfolding within you this month. It's not in the noise. It's not in grand gestures. It's not in the performance you used to feel you had to give. It's in your stillness. It's in your restraint. It's in the silent strength you now carry in your body, your voice, your eyes, and your presence. God isn't adding surface level charm to your life. He's stripping away the extra and revealing the power He already placed inside you. He is not decorating you with tricks or techniques. He's not giving you fancy words or impressive timing. He's anchoring you. He's refining your energy. He's making you magnetic without effort, radiant without noise, and irresistible without needing to chase. He's doing it by helping you hold, not release, your deepest energy, especially your sexual energy, the most raw, potent force inside you. He's not asking you to pour it out into the world. He's teaching you to contain it, to hold it like sacred fire. That containment has changed you. It has made you still. It has made you solid. And in that stillness, something beautiful has emerged. Quiet authority. Not the kind that tries to lead with loudness, but the kind that speaks to people's nervous systems and says, "This is a man who is rooted." Women are noticing. They don't even know why. They can't always explain it. But when you walk into a room, their energy softens. When you speak, their breathing slows. Not because you're trying to get attention, but because you're carrying truth. You're not chasing connection anymore. You've become connection. You've stopped seeking warmth, and now you are warmth. You've stopped reaching for fire, and now you carry it quietly inside you. It glows. It hums. It fills every room you enter with calm intensity. This month, your charm has nothing to do with performance. It's not in your smile. It's not in your lines. It's not even in your words. It's in your being. It's in the way you hold yourself. It's in the way you move. You don't demand to be seen, but people are seeing you, especially women. You're not trying to impress anyone, and that's what's making you unforgettable. You've become a steady fire, one that doesn't flicker for attention, but burns from within. Your charm isn't floating in the air like it used to. It's sitting deeply in your chest, in your tone, in your posture, in your silence. Your voice doesn't try to be heard. It just is. And when you speak, even briefly, it cuts through noise like clarity. Because you're no longer speaking from a shallow place. You're speaking from stillness, from wholeness, from alignment. That's what makes people turn their heads. That's what makes your presence heavy, holy, unforgettable. God is changing how people interpret your spirit. He's polishing your essence, not by changing your behavior, but by allowing others to finally see the truth you've been carrying quietly for a long time. You've been walking with light in you, but this month that light is no longer hidden. People will start to see it without knowing how. Women will feel the shift, not in their fantasies, but in their bodies. You're not offering chaos with a smile anymore. You're offering peace with presence. You're not saying, "Look at me." You're saying, "Here I am," and letting that be enough. And it is enough. Your words no longer beg for understanding. They sit, they rest, they echo. You no longer perform to keep attention. You no longer need to, because you've dropped everything that wasn't real. And now what's left is the man you are always meant to be. When you speak now, even a sentence feels like a truth that was waiting to be heard. Even your silence makes people pause. Your eyes don't scan anymore. They rest. They bless. They see. And that is the kind of charm that can't be manufactured. You're no longer hungry in your gaze. You're no longer seeking something in every look. Your eyes no longer chase, they hold. And when women look into your eyes now, they feel safe, not because you're soft, but because you're stable. They feel awakened, not because you're seductive, but because you're aligned. You don't stare to consume. You witness. You see without judgment. You rest your attention like it's sacred, and they feel that difference. Your eyes say, "I don't need anything from you. I'm simply seeing what's beautiful in front of me." That gaze doesn't disappear when you leave the room. It stays. It changes how they feel about themselves. It makes them feel seen, not scanned. And that difference is everything. There was a time when your energy was heavy with need. You wanted to be noticed. You wanted to be loved. You wanted to be admired. But now, you don't need those things anymore. You still want love. You still want connection. But you've stopped needing them to feel full. And because of that, your presence is no longer demanding. It's inviting. It doesn't press on people. It doesn't seek reaction. It simply sits in peace. And peace is powerful. Even your smile has changed. It's no longer something you put on to please others. It's something that rises from deep inside you. Something real. Something gentle. Something honest. It's not a mask. It's not a tactic. It's a vibration. A signal that says, "I've walked through fire, and I'm still soft." Your laughter doesn't interrupt anymore. It flows. It blesses the space. It doesn't try to entertain. It feels like home. And people feel it in their chest, not just their ears. You've become someone who no longer interrupts the atmosphere. You anchor it. You've become someone whose very presence makes others breathe deeper, speak softer, feel safer. You don't carry that frantic, rushing energy anymore. You carry stillness. And that stillness is not weakness. It's power. It's fire that's been tamed. It's passion that's been purifying. And people feel it the moment you step into a room. Even the way you move now has changed. Your body no longer carries the tension of trying to be enough. Your shoulders are looser. Your breath is deeper. You walk with purpose. You sit with ease. You don't rush. You don't fidget. You don't perform. You simply exist. And your movement has become a message all on its own. You don't need to gesture to be seen. You don't need to explain to be understood. Every step you take now says, "This is a man who knows who he is." And people feel it. Women especially feel it. They feel it when you walk past, when you open a door, when you sit still, when you lean into a moment without forcing it. They feel the fire behind your stillness, the clarity, in your calm. You don't move like a man who is chasing anything. You move like a man who has something. Something rare. Something rooted. And they don't know why that's so magnetic, but it is. Because your energy doesn't chase. It grounds. It settles. It holds. You used to live from performance. Now you live from peace. You used to speak from hunger. Now you speak from wholeness. You used to move from desire. Now you move from presence. You've stopped asking to be seen. And that's exactly what has made you unmissable. This month, everything about you speaks, not in words, but in vibration. Your body, your breath, your gaze, your silence, your voice. They all carry something God has been building quietly inside you for a long time. And now, that quiet work is starting to shine. Not to make you famous, not to make you impressive, but to make you true. You've become the kind of man whose presence is a message. A message that says, I've walked through the fire and didn't lose myself in the flames. I didn't get louder. I got clearer. I didn't chase attention. I became attention. I didn't perform for love. I became love. And when you carry that kind of presence, you don't need to say much. Because even your silence now speaks for you. It's in the way you take your time now. Calm, patient, but never wasting a moment. You no longer rush through life, trying to prove something or chase someone. You move with purpose, with awareness, with trust in something bigger than yourself. You don't show up to be seen. You show up because you're aligned. And when you do, people feel it. They feel your presence in the quiet. They sense your energy in your stillness. You're not trying to fill the room, yet somehow the room shifts when you enter. Especially women. They notice it before they understand it. It's not about lust or charm in the old way. It's about the energy your body now carries. A sacred, steady kind of strength that says, this man doesn't move in confusion. He moves with God's permission. Your walk is softer now. Your breath deeper. Your presence fuller. You don't stretch yourself to be liked or heard. You don't speak just to fill silence. You let your stillness speak for you. And this month, every small movement you make tells the story of your inner transformation. You don't need to explain who you are anymore. You live it. You show it. And others feel it, especially in your timing, in your peace, in the way you wait, in the way you arrive exactly when you're meant to. That kind of quiet confidence doesn't just impress, it anchors, it heals. There's mystery in you again, but not because you're hiding, not because you're distant. The mystery is different now. It comes from depth you don't need to display, from sacred power you no longer spill, from peace you no longer perform. You are no longer trying to be everything to everyone. You've stopped exposing all of yourself just to be accepted. You've learned that not everything holy should be given away. You are no longer performing. You're simply being. And being, when done with full presence, creates the kind of energy people crave but can't describe. Women feel it. They don't always know what to call it. Some say you're magnetic. Some say your energy feels good. But what they're really sensing is the fire you've contained, the focus you've developed, the strength you've refined. You are no longer loud. You are no longer trying to impress. And that, strangely enough, is what makes you unforgettable. They feel your warmth, but they also feel your boundaries. They know you are open, but you are not unraveled. You are steady, and that steadiness is more attractive than anything else. You've stopped giving yourself away in pieces, hoping to be understood. You've stopped using your pain to win sympathy. You've stopped over-explaining, oversharing, overdoing. You've stopped making your story a performance. You now carry your story in silence, in stillness, in the way you wait before speaking, in the way you no longer rush to connect. Your restraint is no longer fear, it's reverence. You are careful now with what matters, with who gets to see your fire. And that care, that sacred self-containment, draws people in. You don't need to be the loudest man in the room anymore. You've become the one who speaks at the right time, the one who listens fully, the one who stays calm when others panic, the one who doesn't flinch. That's divine timing. That's holy rhythm. That's why people remember you now. Not because you pushed for their attention, but because your spirit arrived when they needed peace, not pressure. You have become the kind of man who leaves a mark without having to say much. You don't chase, and you don't run. You wait for the right time, and when it comes, you move with certainty. And that certainty, that peace, that patience is rare, especially in a world full of men trying to be loud to feel powerful. You've learned that the real kind of power, the kind people feel in their body, is the power that doesn't demand attention, but commands peace. Now, women aren't drawn to your performance. They're drawn to your presence. Not the part of you that's trying to be liked, but the part of you that's already whole. They feel the way your energy doesn't pull at them. It steadies them. It doesn't create noise. It creates silence. Not emptiness, but safety. Not pressure, but space. And in that space, they feel something they haven't felt in a long time. Relief, trust, ease. You don't stir chaos to feel needed. You bring calm because you are calm. You're not reaching for compliments. You're not hunting for praise. You're not trying to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. You've learned that attention is not the same as love. That desire is not the same as connection. And now your body carries that wisdom. Your eyes no longer carry hunger. They carry vision. Your smile no longer carries performance. It carries peace. Your fire no longer burns outward, seeking to be seen. It glows inward, held close, sacred. This is why your presence now feels like shelter. You're not just attractive. You're safe ground. And in a world that's constantly moving, constantly taking, constantly performing, that kind of man is unforgettable. You have become the reminder that real power doesn't need to shout, that deep love doesn't need to rush, that stillness is not weakness, it's mastery, it's strength held in silence. So don't be surprised when people pause around you, when women look at you a little longer, when their bodies soften in your presence, even if they don't know why. You're not showing up to win hearts. You're showing up as peace in human form. You've become the one who doesn't need to speak loudly to be heard, the one who doesn't need to take to feel full. You've become the one who gives without draining, who speaks with timing, who moves with purpose, and who remains
Have you ever felt like people wanted you to fall apart on purpose? Like they were more comfortable seeing you broken than healed? Like your pain was entertainment for them, not something they cared to help you through? It wasn't just your imagination. It was real. They laughed while you were crying. They watched your world fall apart and smirked behind your back. Some of them didn't even hide their delight. They turned your struggles into a story they could tell others. They made you the villain in their stories and the joke in their conversations. They twisted the truth and made your name small. They made your pain feel like it didn't matter, but it did. And now, it matters even more, because what they didn't realize is that your pain was never just pain. It was power in disguise. Every tear, every silent night, every time you broke down thinking no one saw you, the universe saw you. Every time you wanted to give up, the universe held you together. Every time someone mocked you, lied about you, or celebrated your suffering, the universe was taking note. They thought you were alone, but you weren't. You were just hidden, protected, held back for something bigger. They thought they were getting away with it, that they could speak badly about you and it would never come back to them, that they could throw stones, hide their hands, and walk away clean. But they misunderstood how divine timing works. They misunderstood who you are. You're not just another person walking this earth. You were chosen, not because you were perfect, but because you were willing to carry light in a world that thrives in shadows. Because you were built to survive what others couldn't. Because your purpose was bigger than their opinions. They thought your quietness meant weakness. They thought your pain was proof that you were cursed. But the pain was purification. It was transformation. It was the fire you had to walk through so you could emerge stronger, softer, and more solid in your purpose than ever before. They thought you were finished. They thought the rumors would break you. They thought their silence, their coldness, their rejection would destroy you. But the opposite happened. Instead of falling apart, you rose. Quietly, slowly, but surely, you started to heal. You began to remember who you are. You started reclaiming your power. You stopped chasing their approval and started holding your own heart with gentleness. And in that stillness, the shift began. While you were silent, the storm they sent began to spin. Not around you, but around them. You didn't need to curse them. You didn't need to respond. You didn't need to make them feel what they made you feel. The universe did it for you, and it's doing it now. They are the ones who are losing sleep. They are the ones who are scared, anxious, and confused. They're wondering why everything in their life feels heavy, broken, unstable. They're waking up to consequences they never saw coming. That's not bad luck. That's return energy. They didn't just attack you. They attacked someone who was covered. They mocked someone who was protected. They pushed someone who was being held back by divine hands. Not because you were weak, but because your path required sacred preparation. You weren't losing. You were being hidden. You weren't abandoned. You were being preserved. You weren't ignored. You were being protected by something far greater than anything they could understand. And now, what they sent is circling back. They're being haunted by the very energy they thought would ruin you. You don't even have to lift a finger. The truth is rising without your help. Your glow is exposing every lie. Your peace is making their noise unbearable. Your healing is unsettling their demons. You're not even trying, and still, they can feel it. Because your presence alone carries weight now. Your energy has shifted. Your silence now speaks louder than all their noise ever did. And it's not just spiritual. It's showing up in the physical. The same people who used to post confidently now barely speak. The same ones who seemed bold are now shrinking in public. Their energy is off. Their connections are falling apart. Their fake confidence is cracking. People are pulling away from them. Their smiles don't look real anymore. Their voices sound different. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. That's the result of playing with something sacred and thinking there'd be no cost. They thought they could touch your name, your energy, your heart, and stay clean. But that's not how the universe works. There are laws deeper than the eye can see. You can't betray someone the universe favors and expect blessings to flow. You can't mock pain that was sent for transformation and expect peace to follow you. You can't spit on someone's journey and think you'll get to walk freely on your own. They forgot that sacred people walk with unseen armies, that those who are chosen walk with covering, that even when no one is clapping for them, heaven is watching everything. They didn't just mess with a person. They picked a fight with purpose, and now they're paying. They're spiraling not because you hurt them, but because their own lies are catching up. Their guilt, their shadow, their choices, their energy is turning on them. They didn't expect this shift. They thought you would stay small. They thought you would keep begging for their love, their time, their approval. But you stopped. And when you stopped, their control cracked. Their illusion shattered. Their fake power started slipping away. Because the only thing that held their stories together was your silence. And now that you've healed, even in private, their lies have nothing to stand on. You didn't expose them. Truth did. You didn't attack them. Their own karma did. And now they're realizing the pain they wished for you is the pain they're waking up to every morning. They're feeling what they laughed at. They're living in the very storm they called on your name. And what makes it worse for them is that you still carry peace. You still walk gently. You still rise quietly. You still don't match their energy. And that drives them crazy. Because they don't understand how someone they tried to destroy can still carry grace. They wanted you bitter. They wanted you loud. They wanted you broken and hateful so they could say, "See, look what they became." But instead, you became everything they didn't see coming. You became light. You became soft. You became strong. You became grounded. You became still, and your stillness speaks volumes. Your growth is now undeniable. Your glow makes their mask uncomfortable. Your truth makes their lies too heavy to carry. And now, they don't know what to do, because the version of you they tried to ruin no longer exists. You're not just surviving. You're walking in sacred alignment. You're becoming everything they hoped you would never remember you are. And if you've ever doubted yourself, if you've ever wondered if you were imagining all of this, stop. You weren't crazy. You weren't unstable. You weren't too much. You were never the problem. You were always the mirror. And mirrors scare people who are hiding from themselves. You didn't do anything to deserve the pain. But you did something powerful with it. You let it shape you, not destroy you. You let it open your heart instead of closing it. You let it lead you back to truth. And now you don't need revenge, because peace is your revenge. Growth is your revenge. Silence is your revenge. And survival, that's your sentence. The universe made sure you didn't fall apart, because the moment they tried to break you was the moment you were surrounded by spiritual fire. They thought you were vulnerable, but you were being armed. They thought you were alone, but you were surrounded. They thought they could declare war on your spirit, but your spirit wasn't alone. And now, the force that walks with you is finishing what you never had to start. So let them talk. Let them spiral. Let them drown in the energy they tried to bury you in. You don't owe them your voice. You don't owe them your defense. You don't owe them a thing. Your existence is your evidence. Your light is your response. And your future? That's the part they'll never be able to reach. They called the storm. Now they're drowning in it. They laughed while you bled. Now they're gasping while the walls close in. They declared war on your spirit. But they didn't realize your spirit was never alone. You were never fighting back. You were being backed. You never had to prove yourself, because the universe was proving something through you. And now, the proof is loud. The truth is loud. And the shift? It's permanent. You didn't just trigger them. You exposed them. And you did it without even trying. And now they know. The light they mocked is the very light that's leading you into everything they tried to keep from you. You rise. Quietly. Boldly. Completely. And the storm that was sent to destroy you is now the very wind pushing you forward. You didn't survive by accident. You were carried. You were chosen. And now it's time to walk like it. You still wonder sometimes if you were too much. You remember the way people turned on you, how lies were whispered behind your back, how others began to look at you differently. You still catch yourself staying quiet just to keep others comfortable. But was it really you that made them uncomfortable? Or was it your honesty, your light, your healing? Maybe what bothered them wasn't who you were, but what you showed them about themselves. Your energy was never the problem. It was their reaction to it. Now that time has passed and the noise is fading, the truth is becoming clear. You weren't the one causing the chaos. You were the mirror. And mirrors don't hurt people. They show what's already there. You didn't break anyone. You just revealed what was already broken. You didn't cause discomfort. You exposed the discomfort they were hiding. You walked in with peace and their masks fell apart. You didn't try to expose them. You didn't come to fight. You simply stood in truth, and lies couldn't survive next to you. It's time to stop shrinking. Stop apologizing for your strength. Stop wondering if silence would have made them treat you better. You didn't do anything wrong. You weren't the one causing damage. You didn't turn people against anyone. They did that all by themselves. They tried to rewrite your story. They thought if they told enough lies, your truth would disappear. And for a while, people believed them. You lost connections, opportunities, trust, all based on stories that were fake from the beginning. But the universe never lets lies finish the story. What they started in deception, something greater is finishing in truth. Now the story has changed. The truth is rising, and they're getting written out. You didn't have to chase anyone. You didn't have to explain yourself in every room. You just kept going. You just stayed grounded. You let your energy speak. And now, the people who once believed the lies are starting to question everything. They said you were unstable, but now they're the ones breaking down. They said you were the problem, but now they're surrounded by problems. They said you were fake, but now your truth is undeniable. Because when people lie about someone protected by divine energy, that energy returns with clarity. The universe has a way of clearing the fog. And now, the same energy they used to destroy you is circling back to destroy their illusions. You didn't have to fight. You didn't even have to speak. You just had to survive. And now your presence is louder than any defense. You didn't collapse. You didn't get bitter. You healed. You grew. And you kept rising. That's what's haunting them now. Because they were waiting for your downfall. But you gave them your comeback. They were hoping you'd crack. That you'd scream, beg, lash out. Just one moment of public breakdown so they could say, "See, we were right." But you gave them silence. You gave them peace. And that scared them more than anything. Because peace is powerful in a world that thrives on noise. You didn't explain the whispers. You didn't chase down the rumors. You just walked away. Quietly, strongly, and behind the scenes, you evolved. Your mind got clearer. Your energy sharpened. Your soul got stronger. While they watched your name, you were building a life they couldn't follow. And now that same silence they mocked is speaking volumes. Because you didn't crash. You didn't fall apart. You healed quietly. And now your very existence is louder than their lies. You didn't drag anyone through the mud. You didn't expose them with receipts. You let their own energy expose them. And now your peace is more powerful than their chaos. Your light is revealing their bitterness. And the truth is showing up without you saying a single word. You wanted to respond. You wanted to say, "I see you. I know what you did." But something in you whispered, "Wait. Let the universe handle this." And that voice was right. Because now, every lie is turning to dust in the face of your rise. They built a fire for you. They gathered jealousy, gossip, and betrayal, and tried to burn your name. But you didn't burn. You transformed. You walked through the fire and came out crowned. They thought they were destroying you, but really, they were preparing you. That fire burned away what didn't belong to you. Doubt, fear, insecurity. And now you're stronger than ever. You didn't melt. You were refined. And now, the fire is turning on them. The energy they created is returning. They thought they could hide behind fake concern and escape consequences. But the universe saw everything. And now, the same flames they started are at their feet. You didn't have to curse them. You didn't wish them harm. You just stayed true. And the universe is balancing the scales with precision. Karma isn't cruel. It's exact. It's not revenge. It's response. It's not angry. It's wise. They sent out harm, and now they're living in it. Not because you fought them, but because you didn't. You stayed calm. You stayed focused. You chose healing instead of hate. And now, they are learning what it costs to lie on a chosen one. Every blessing you receive now is a reminder that they couldn't stop you. Every smile you wear now is a reflection of the peace they couldn't take from you. They used your vulnerability as ammunition. They twisted your truth. They painted you in a false light. And now, their lives are reflecting what they sent out. Not because of you, but because of what they did to you. So don't feel guilty. Don't wonder if this is too harsh. What they did wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. And now the energy is returning, not to punish, but to correct. You were never the one in danger. They were. The moment they tried to harm someone covered by divine alignment, they started a cycle they can't stop. Let it unfold. Let the lies fall apart. Let the truth continue to rise without you having to say a thing. You don't need to fight for your name. The universe already knows who you are. You were never regular. You were never weak. That pain didn't break you. It built you. It made you real. It made you stronger than ever. It removed the fake people. It showed you who's true. And now it's setting the stage for everything that's coming next. Walk like you're chosen. Speak like you're protected. Shine like you've already made it through the worst. Because you have. Let your blessings speak. Let your glow remind them of the truth. Let karma handle what you were never meant to carry. This isn't revenge. This is restoration. Every step you take forward is proof that the truth always wins. Every smile you carry now is evidence that the lie never had the final word. They wrote the lie, but the universe published the truth. And now it's your time. You win.
Have you ever walked into a room and felt every "I notice you" before you even said a word, yet not because of what you were wearing or how you looked, but because of something unexplainable, something deeper, something sacred moving in your silence? Chosen one, what you're experiencing this month is not ordinary. It's not surface level attention or momentary interest. It's something spiritual. It's not about being seen on the outside. It's about being felt on the inside. People are responding to you, not because of your image, but because of the quiet power you now carry. Women aren't just noticing you. They're sensing something in you before their minds can even make sense of it. And it's not because you're trying to stand out. It's because you become still enough for the truth inside you to finally be seen. There was a time when your energy was wild. Your passion, especially your sexual energy, was untamed. It burst outward, looking for somewhere to land, someone to receive it. It craved attention. It longed to be acknowledged. And while that fire was always real, it didn't yet have form. It didn't yet have wisdom. It searched for direction. It overflowed. But now, that same energy has been shaped by God into something holy. It no longer explodes. It no longer begs to be noticed. It doesn't chase or shout or perform. It simply rests inside of you, calm and alive. It breathes through your silence. It flows through your body like a steady current. And it doesn't push anyone away. It draws them in. This month, your energy doesn't speak through words. It speaks through stillness. It's not what you say that people are responding to. It's what you've become. There's a spiritual presence around you now, one that was built through long seasons of silence, of discipline, of surrender. You didn't become magnetic by trying to be admired. You became magnetic by letting go of everything that wasn't true. And now, people, especially women, are turning their heads, not because you're performing, but because your very being feels like peace in a world full of noise. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to try. You simply are, and that is more than enough. Your energy no longer moves outward, searching for something to fill you. It's inward now, contained, sacred, still. It pulses through you like a quiet fire, and this kind of energy can't be imitated. It's not something anyone can fake. It's not something you learn from the outside. It's something that was built within you by God Himself. And now it's visible, not in the way you look, but in the way you live. People are admiring you now not because you're showing off, but because you're not. They feel drawn to you because your stillness has weight. Your silence has presence. Your restraint feels magnetic. You used to enter rooms hoping to be seen, hoping someone would reflect your worth back to you. But you don't live in that place anymore. You've stopped reaching for mirrors. You've stopped asking the world to show you who you are. You know now. You've become a man who walks in the truth of his own value. A man who no longer tries to be chosen, but who chooses himself every single day. And that choice has changed everything. You're not chasing anything now. You're simply walking in alignment with your purpose. And that alignment is what people feel. It's what they admire. It's what makes them stare without even knowing why. Women don't just see your face now. They feel your presence. They don't respond to how you look. They respond to the man behind the look. The man who chose discipline over ease. The man who held his desire instead of wasting it. The man who turned his raw energy inward and held it like a sacred flame. And that flame glows behind your eyes. It moves in the way you walk. It rests on your shoulders like a quiet, invisible crown. You don't flash. You glow. You don't perform. You embody. And that embodiment is what makes you unforgettable. You're not doing more. You're doing less, but with greater intention. Your movements are slower. Your voice is softer. Your spirit is quieter. But your impact is stronger than ever. And that quiet is what people feel now. Especially women. They feel a peace in your presence that most have never experienced before. They feel seen without being chased. They feel safe without being controlled. And they don't always know how to explain it, but they know that when you're near, they can finally let go. They can finally breathe. You've become the kind of man who brings exhale, not because you're loud, but because you're still. Your energy doesn't announce itself anymore. It just moves through space like a calm wave. It enters rooms without making a scene, but still shifts the atmosphere. Not with dominance, with presence. Not with charm, with truth. And that truth doesn't need to be spoken. It lives in your silence. It shines in your posture. It hums in your stillness. Your high sexual energy hasn't disappeared. It's been transformed. It's no longer reckless. It's reverent. It doesn't scatter. It wraps. It doesn't push. It pulls. It doesn't chase. It waits. And that kind of energy makes people feel something they've forgotten. Safety. You used to perform. You used to try to impress. You used to chase attention. But not anymore. Now, people turn to look at you not because you're asking for it, but because you're not. They admire the way you sit in your own presence, the way you rest inside your own energy without needing to reach. You're no longer trying to take anything from the world. You're offering something rare, and that offering isn't loud. It's quiet. It's honest. It's real. You've become a safe place in human form. You've become the man who doesn't misuse desire. And in a world full of impulsive energy and scattered attention, that is something the heart recognizes immediately, even if the mind doesn't understand it. You no longer need to be desired to feel whole. You've become whole without it. And that wholeness is exactly why desire is drawn to you now. Not because you need it, but because you don't. Not because you demand it, but because you've stopped demanding anything. Your frequency is no longer desperate. It's steady. It's clean. It's pure. You carry yourself like a man who has nothing to prove, nothing to chase, nothing to hide. And that's what makes people lean in. That's what makes them remember you. That's what makes admiration linger long after you've gone. You walk now in a vibration that doesn't shout. It whispers. It whispers peace. It whispers power. It whispers safety. And that whisper goes deeper than anything else. It speaks to the heart. It speaks to the body. It speaks to the part of every person that just wants to feel something real. And you've become real. Not acted. Not exaggerated. Not borrowed. Real. And real is unforgettable. There was a time when you thought admiration came from what you did, how you looked, or how you sounded. You worked on the outside, hoping it would carry the weight of your inner self. But now, you know better. You know that the deepest respect comes not from how you perform, but from how you live. And you've chosen to live in alignment. You've chosen to stop reaching. You've chosen to become. You no longer walk with urgency. You no longer talk to fill the silence. You no longer move to be seen. You just exist in a way that commands attention, not through pressure, but through presence. And that presence says everything. It says you're whole. It says you're safe. It says you're not here to take. You're here to hold. And people can feel that, especially women. They admire you now, not because they're confused by you, but because they feel peace in your presence. You've become the kind of man who gives people room to breathe. And that room is more valuable than charm, more magnetic than performance, more unforgettable than looks. You've become still, chosen one, not absent, still. Your stillness is full of life. It hums with fire that doesn't need to burn out of control. It radiates with truth that doesn't need to be explained. And that stillness is what they admire. Not because it's loud, but because it's true. Not because it shines, but because it glows. Not because it demands, but because it offers. Without effort, without ego, without pretending. Your aura no longer pleads. It doesn't try to impress. It simply is. And that being creates a field that people walk into and never forget. Because in your presence, they remember what peace feels like, what safety feels like, what truth feels like. You don't rush. You don't reach. You don't strive. And that calm, that groundedness, makes everything around you slow down too. Your energy recalibrates the space. It tells the truth without speaking. It clears the noise without force. It teaches others, quietly, how to carry themselves differently. This month, you don't need to say a word to be heard. You don't need to prove anything to be respected. You don't need to shine to be seen. You just need to keep being who you've become, because who you are now is unforgettable. You've walked through fire. You've chosen restraint. You've surrendered to the process. And the man you've become in the quiet is now speaking louder than any voice ever could. The admiration you're receiving now is not a reaction to your appearance. It's a recognition of your soul. And that kind of admiration doesn't fade. This month, you'll feel it in their eyes, in their body language, in their quiet glances. You'll feel it in the way people lean in, the way rooms quiet around you, the way hearts settle in your presence. And it won't be because you tried. It'll be because you didn't. Because you allowed God to shape you, refine you, and align you. Because you stopped chasing the world and became someone the world couldn't look away from. This is your season of silent power, the kind that doesn't ask to be respected, but simply is. The kind that doesn't demand to be seen, but glows in every space you enter. You are admired now, not for what you present, but for what you carry. And what you carry cannot be denied. She starts trusting you before she even knows why. Not because of anything you say, not because of how you look or what you do, but because something inside her softens when you're near. In a world where women are constantly watched, judged, or wanted for something, your presence feels different. You're not pulling at her energy. You're not asking for her attention. You're not trying to impress. You're simply there, still, calm, grounded, and that makes her feel safe in a way she rarely experiences. She's used to being seen as something to take from, something to chase, something to earn. But with you, there's no pressure, no expectations. You're not reaching out hoping to get something back. You've stopped chasing. You've stopped needing. Your energy no longer rushes out to be noticed. It rests quietly inside you, strong, warm, and self-contained. And that stillness, that wholeness, tells her spirit a simple truth. This man will not take from me. And so, she starts to relax. Her breath deepens. Her guard lowers. Not because you asked her to, but because, around you, she doesn't need it. You don't demand. You don't push. You wait, not for her attention, but for what's truly aligned. And that rare kind of patience creates something powerful. A kind of space where she can be herself. A kind of closeness that doesn't rush or pretend. She begins to admire you, not because of how you perform, but because of how you carry your strength quietly, without needing anything in return. Your sexual energy hasn't disappeared. It has grown up. It's no longer wild or desperate. It has become something sacred. It no longer burns outward, trying to be fulfilled. It burns inward with quiet purpose. It doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't take, it offers. You've stopped scattering your energy and started holding it. And that makes you steady, safe, strong in a way that isn't loud, but undeniable. She sees it in the way you look at her, not to conquer, but to honor, in the way you're not trying to win her, but to witness her. You don't need to be noticed. You don't need to be chosen. You already belong to yourself. And that kind of man doesn't make women feel like objects. He makes them feel like home. She doesn't tense up around you. She doesn't question your intentions. She simply feels calm. And that calm is what she remembers. That stillness is what lingers. Because in you, There's no game, no performance, no grasping, just presence, just clarity, just truth. You're no longer driven by desire that consumes. You're guided by desire that creates. You don't burn recklessly. You warm steadily. You don't seek attention. You live in alignment. And because of that, you don't have to say you're different. You simply are. And her spirit knows it. You've become the contrast to everything false. You don't need to be loud because your silence speaks. You don't rush into connection, you deepen it. You don't awaken lust, you awaken memory. A memory of what it feels like to be truly seen, truly respected, truly safe. Women don't crave you now because you chase them. They're drawn to you because you don't. Because your presence carries peace. Because your energy doesn't pull, it holds. Because your eyes don't take, they see. And what they see isn't something to possess, but something to protect. This month, women will feel your presence before they understand it. They'll feel the calm, the truth, the depth. You won't need to say much. You won't need to reach for anyone, because your energy already speaks. It says, I see you. I honor you. I don't need anything from you. And that feeling, the one they get around you now, is rare. It's sacred. It doesn't come often. But when it does, it stays. It lives in the memory. It changes how they see the world. Because once they've experienced it, they can never forget how it felt to be seen without being sized up. To be near someone who doesn't chase their body, but welcomes their soul. You are no longer trying to be desired. You've become the place desire returns to. You don't rush to touch. You hold with your energy. You carry your passion like something holy. And that is what makes you unforgettable. You are not admired because of what you show. You are admired because of what you remind them of. You've become the answer to a question they stopped asking. You are the calm in their chaos, the safety in their storm, the home they didn't know they were missing. And this month, they will feel it in every breath, every pause, every moment of quiet you carry. You don't seduce. You reflect. You don't pull them in. You leave the door open. And in that silent invitation, they remember who they are. Because being near you now doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like peace.